I got into this relationship 2 years ago when I was 28. Because we live about an hour apart, our time together has mostly been limited to weekends. She has a young son, a 7-year-old boy, who spends weekdays with his dad and usually comes back Sunday evenings. That means I really only see him at the tail end of the weekend. From the start, I made an effort to be kind to him. I'd sit with him playing Minecraft, take him places, even join them on family trips a couple of times. Still, I can't pretend I ever liked the idea of being tied down to raising someone else's kid. I kept telling myself I treat him like my own, but over and over he's shown me just how hard he is to deal with. I won't drag this out with every detail, but lately he's been around every single weekend, and it's forced me to picture what life long-term would really look like with him. Honestly, it's exhausting. I don't get a minute to myself anymore. Intimacy with my girlfriend has completely disappeared. We haven't been together in that way for more than a month. Some days I literally lock myself in the bathroom just to breathe. Weekends that I used to look forward to have turned into something I dread. Mondays, of all things, have become the highlight of my week because at least after work I get a sliver of peace on my own. The truth is, the idea of my future with her scares me. I've tried talking to her about how I feel, but every single time it turns into a fight. I feel like I've been handed all the duties of being a stepdad, but none of the authority that comes with it. I really do love my girlfriend, and when it's just the two of us we click so well, but I'm finally facing the fact that this isn't sustainable. I feel guilty even saying that, because I knew she was a single mom before we ever started dating, yet I chose to ignore all the warning signs and kept telling myself things would smooth out eventually. Instead, they've only gotten harder. Now it feels like I've wasted her time as well as my own, but letting go is proving harder than I thought. Every time I think about ending it, the fear of missing her hits me, even though deep down I know that's exactly what I need to do. Has anyone else been in this position before? Any advice would mean a lot. Edit, I want to make it clear that the red flags I overlooked weren't simply about her being a mom. While I don't completely agree with her parenting style, that alone wasn't the deal breaker. The bigger problem is the realities that come with single motherhood, things that aren't her fault but affect me directly. Her ex is completely out of the picture, doesn't help financially, and never steps up as a father. If I stayed, that responsibility would fall squarely on me, something I didn't seriously consider when we started dating. Looking back, I should have realized it, but I convinced myself it wouldn't matter. I really do love her, and once I finally sit down with her to talk, I'll post an update. When she told me, I don't want to look at it anymore either, and followed with, this will be the last time we see each other, so let's say goodbye, I agreed and drove over. When I arrived, there was a pile of my belongings waiting for me. I made a few trips down to my car until only a small amount was left. That's when I saw her sitting on the kitchen floor, sobbing. I sat down beside her in silence, not sure what to say. After a moment, she slid herself a few inches away from me, almost like she was putting up a wall. I looked at her and asked, I guess I should go, huh? She gave a small nod. As I stood up and walked toward the door, I told her, I just wish you didn't think I was a terrible person. That's when she started yelling, insisting she hadn't done anything wrong and throwing blame around. I couldn't handle it, so I simply said goodbye and walked out. As I made my way down the hallway, her cries echoed so loudly it felt like they were chasing me. By the time I got outside and sat in my car, my phone rang. It was her. She was upset that I wouldn't talk, but I told her there was nothing left to say. She launched into how awful I was, how I'd made all the wrong choices, never once admitting any fault. 15 minutes into my drive on the highway, she begged me to turn back and come talk. I told her no, that I was already leaving. She broke down, crying and pleading, but I just kept apologizing and eventually hung up. It was the first time I had ever ended a call on her, though she'd hung up on me more times than I could count. Immediately my phone blew up with calls and texts. I couldn't take it anymore. I felt like I was losing my mind, so I shut it off completely. I left it off for an entire day. When I finally powered it back on, there were a few short texts and missed calls. I blocked her right away. Still, guilt hit me like a ton of bricks. Hearing her cry gutted me, but I knew if I let myself keep being there for her, I'd only get dragged back into a relationship I no longer wanted. I love her, honestly, I'm still in love with her, but love isn't enough if the situation makes me miserable. She sent me 2 emails since realizing she was blocked. I can tell from the previews that they're written like long letters, but I can't bring myself to read them yet. The whole thing feels like it's tearing me apart. Edit, I wasn't expecting so much attention here, but thank you all. This has been one of the hardest things I've ever gone through, and reading your support really helps. I ended up reading her letters last night. The first one was full of apologies, and it broke me down. I actually teared up because it reminded me of the good side of her. But 12 hours later, she sent another one, and that one was the opposite, full of blame, pointing out everything I supposedly did wrong. Honestly, I regret reading either of them, but I'm also glad I read the second one. The first letter had me questioning everything, but the second reminded me exactly why I ended things in the first place. Since then, I've stayed strong and blocked every new number she's tried reaching me from. She even called me using her work phone, which I confirmed online before blocking that too. Update 2, so yeah, I'm out of a 2.5-year relationship. She's 27, I'm 30. I ended it because I felt like I was losing myself. Every bit of free time I had revolved around her and her kid, and intimacy between us had almost completely died. At best, once a week, but in the last 3 to 4 months, it dropped to once every other week, then once a month. On top of that, trying to step into a father role was overwhelming, and it became the main reason I walked away. At first, right after the breakup, I felt relief, like I could finally breathe. But now, a week later, I'm crumbling. I've cried every single day, even had a total breakdown last night. The regret is eating me alive. I miss her smile. I miss hearing her voice on the phone. During the breakup, I forced myself to focus on all the bad, but now that she's gone, my brain only replays the good memories. I keep fighting the urge to call, text, or just show up at her place begging for another chance. I've been talking to my therapist, my friends, my family, but nothing really eases the pain. The thought of dating again someday makes me feel even worse. No one else could possibly laugh the way she did, or be as fun to be around, and that thought makes me miss her even more. I know I can't go back, and I'm determined not to, but it feels like my insides are being ripped apart every single day. Update 3, I wanted to write another update because maybe it'll help someone else going through the same thing. If you look at my post history, you'll see everything I went through dating a single mom, the struggles, the breakup, and even me wrestling with the idea of taking her back. The truth is, breaking up with someone who has a child hits differently than I ever expected. It's harder to get over in ways I wasn't prepared for. Recently, she reached out again, but if you want all the details, you'll have to read back through my posts. To give some background, I'm 30 and I dated a 27-year-old single mom with a 7-year-old son for 2.5 years. Since we lived about an hour apart, we mostly saw each other on weekends. After the breakup, I felt this huge sense of freedom, like I finally had time to myself without all the stress that came with her and her situation. But within a week, that relief turned into something else. I started missing her like crazy. She was constantly on my mind. The last time I saw her, she was sitting on her kitchen floor, sobbing, and that image haunted me. I could hear her crying every time I closed my eyes. It crushed me. I wanted to reach out so badly, and eventually I did. I messaged her asking if I could write her son a goodbye letter since I never got the chance to properly say goodbye. To my surprise, I realized how much I actually missed him too. Yeah, we had our rough moments, but there was a real bond there, and it hurt to think I'd never watch him grow up. I sent the letter, she thanked me for it, and things stayed pretty civil. Then came the silence again. 6 weeks passed and I was still struggling, still breaking down when I was alone. One night around 1 a.m. On a work night, I went into my home gym and started deadlifting until I literally couldn't lift the bar anymore. I collapsed on my knees, crying like I hadn't cried in years. I ended up writing a long letter to her that night, pouring out everything I wanted to say, how I wanted her back, how I thought I could fix things. But I never sent it. Writing and deleting those letters became a kind of therapy for me, a way to get it out without actually reopening the door. Then, a few days later, she called me. I had blocked her number, so I don't know if she used a different one or if mine didn't go through, but when I answered, it was her. My heart started pounding the second I realized. She started casually, asking how I was, saying she just got back from the Toyota dealership and they failed her car inspection because of the tint I had installed. She wanted my help. Part of me wanted to rush over just to see her, but I told myself if we were going to talk, I had to be honest first. So, I laid it all out. I told her I was struggling, that I missed her, that I'd been going to therapy and journaling. I was completely raw about how broken I felt. When I asked her how she was doing, her answer hit me like a slap. She said she was fine. She was regressing, as she put it, partying, drinking, going out with friends, shopping for new dresses. She almost sounded like a completely different person, throwing around pet names like Love and Sweetie in a way that felt fake and awkward. When I asked if she missed me, she admitted she did but quickly added that her focus had been on herself, her trauma, her therapy, not on me. She said she doesn't really think about me anymore. Honestly, it was like hearing from a stranger. I asked about her son, though, and that part broke me even more. She told me he saved the letter I wrote and still talks about me, still misses me. I could tell he missed me more than she did. I ended the call by telling her I couldn't help with the car, but I gave her the name of a shop that would pass it and told her to mention my name. She thanked me, we hung up, and I just sat there staring at my wall for 5 minutes straight.
At first, I was furious and heartbroken. How could she just move on while I was drowning? How could she not be hurting at all? But eventually, that anger shifted into relief. It hit me, she's not my problem anymore. The things she was saying, the lifestyle she was bragging about, those were the exact things that used to keep me up at night. And now, they're not mine to deal with. The woman I fell in love with, the one I kept replaying in my mind, doesn't even exist anymore. She's been replaced by someone else who just happens to look and sound like her. Realizing that was like a key turning in a lock. I hadn't been trapped by her, I'd been trapping myself in this prison of my own making. Weird side note, I watched The Matrix for the first time around then, and it actually clicked for me. That whole "there is no spoon" idea? It made sense. The version of her I kept clinging to wasn't real, it was something I'd built up in my own head. Once I saw that, it got easier. That call happened about 3 weeks ago, and since then I've been at peace for the first time in a long time. I still miss her occasionally, and I'll always miss her son, but I feel free. For so long, I was waiting for her to somehow set me free, when the truth was I had to do it myself. 2 nights ago, her cousin, who's 21, texted me out of the blue. She said she heard about the breakup and wasn't sure if she should reach out, but she wanted me to know she'd miss me. She even told me she doubted my ex would ever find someone like me again. That hit hard, because I always got along with her family, and they really did love me. Anyway, this is long, but here's where I'm at, I'm finally doing well. I've even started dipping my toes into dating again. What's helped me most, aside from that phone call, has been journaling. Whenever I feel like reaching out, I write it down and force myself to wait 24 hours. By the next day, I always feel different and don't send it. Working out has also been huge. I've always lifted, but now I use it to burn off the emotions. And staying busy with projects and goals has given me something new to focus on instead of the past. One of the things that really helped me was working on an old car I'd been fixing up. Spending hours in the garage with a wrench in my hand, music or a podcast playing in the background, it gave me something to focus on besides my thoughts. There's something about getting lost in that kind of project that heals you a little at a time. Another thing I learned is that sometimes you just have to fake it until it sticks. The same way pretending to be confident can eventually make you feel confident, pretending you're getting better after a breakup can slowly trick your brain into actually feeling better. In those later stages, when I was still clinging to the past, that mindset helped me a lot. But in the beginning, you can't fake it, you've got to be real with yourself. Let yourself miss them. Let yourself cry. I owe a thank you to Bill Burr for that advice, because he's right, a good cry does wonders. Cry it all out. Do it in private if you want, no one can judge you, and honestly, your body will feel lighter afterward. So yeah, that's about it. I still miss my ex from time to time, but overall, I'm in a good place now. I know what it's like to be stuck in the dark, to feel completely hopeless. I've been there. But things really do get better if you put in the work. You've got to fight for your own peace. Good luck to anyone out there going through the same thing. Update 4. This was my first Mother's Day without her, about 2 months after we broke up. I had this strong urge to reach out. I even drafted an email in my head over and over. Hey, I wasn't sure if I should message you, but I wanted to wish you a happy Mother's Day. I hope, her son, is doing well. I miss him. I wanted to send it so badly. But I didn't. I held myself back. And now, a day later, I'm glad I did. That's the biggest lesson, don't break no contact, no matter how strong the urge is. If you feel like reaching out, write the email but don't send it. Sit on it for 3 days. Chances are, you'll end up deleting it and thanking yourself for not hitting send. Mother's Day stirred up a lot of emotions for me. It pulled memories back to the surface. But I reminded myself that those feelings are temporary. They pass. And every time you resist breaking no contact, you get stronger. So stay strong, wherever you're at in your own journey.